What's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte, and we are taking a look today at the San Jose Sharks. There's been some interesting rumors going on for this hockey team. There's been some rumor. I mean, now that Doug Wilson has stepped down, we could see a little bit of a teardown, a little bit of shedding some salary for the San Jose Sharks roster. Erik Karlsson, Brent, those guys sound familiar. They are potentially on the trade block. There's some problems, though. They have some no-movement clauses to deal with. Are these guys worth anything? Does anybody want to acquire these players? We're going to go over that today. So we're going to go over some interesting talks about some of these guys being available and the validity of a trade even being possible. It doesn't even make sense, right? So this is from Elliotte Friedman. There were some very preliminary trade talks regarding Erik Karlsson, but they didn't go anywhere. And this is going back toward the trade deadline. And obviously nothing materialized. And they said, you know what, let's wait till the offseason and let's see where this thing goes. So I think now we're in a spot where those talks are going to resurface. So it's going to be interesting what happens with Karlsson, because Karlsson's getting a lot of money. He takes up $14 million, 14% of the salary cap on this Sharks roster, getting paid $11.5 million per season. That contract didn't look good from the start. He still got a lot of term on that deal, and to be honest, he has not been that great for the Sharks. So this was a huge risk that Doug Wilson took, and the next GM, the predecessor, is going to have a huge contract on his hands. It's got another 5 seasons at $11.5 million. He's going to be 36 when this deal is done. That is a huge contract, a huge burden, honestly, right now for the Sharks. Not to mention Brent still has another 3 years left at $8 million per year. That's the next guy we're going to talk about. He'll be 40 at the end of this contract. He also has a modified no-trade clause just to add some more salt to the wound there. This is from Curtis Prishelka of the Mercury News. He reports that the Sharks are willing to listen to trades on Brent and Erik Karlsson if they believe the deal will improve their team. Well, I hate to tell you this, just trading them and getting out the salary would pretty much be a benefit for the Sharks at this point. And I kind of hate to say it like that, but that's kind of where they're at. They have not really produced, and they really, I mean, for that cap hit, I don't think it's going to be easy for them to trade those guys. Now, here's kind of the counter to that. This is from Elliotte Friedman. He said there is interest around the league in San Jose Sharks defenseman Brent. Like I said, he has 3 years left on that contract. You'd have to assume that the Sharks have to eat salary on this one. They're going to have to retain. I'm going to guess 15 to 20% of that has to get retained. So I don't know how that's necessarily going to work. Do they say, do they take $1 to $2 million per season? That's a lot for the Sharks. But again, it looks like if they're going to be going through a rebuild, that might not be the worst thing in the world if they do have that $1 or $2 million on there. They're also going to get more value from the team that they're trading him for, again, because they're eating up that extra salary. So if they were able to get that contract down to, say, $6 million, would it be more attractive to a team out there? I absolutely think it would be. So that's kind of interesting there with the Sharks, because the problem is, when I look at the Sharks right now, you're looking at a team that's paying the three big guys. I mean, you look at the blue line, it's glaringly obvious. You have Erik Karlsson, Brent, and Marc-Edouard Vlasic, who has 4 years after this, at the end of this season, starting in training camp in the fall. Yes, 4 more seasons. He's 35 years old. Again, all these guys are going to be in their late 30s, if not like Brent, literally 40 when their contracts expire. You're asking for a lot, and the problem is you're giving them that kind of money. That's where Doug Wilson, I think, made a mistake. He wanted to win a cup now. This was supposed to be the window for the Sharks this year, next year, and last year. About a 3-year window. That window closed way quicker than I think the Sharks anticipated. A lot of that because of the lack of good goaltending. Obviously, that really hurt them. But this team is it's crazy how quickly they have kind of just crumpled. And I think it is a shame just to watch how things have just completely unfolded for them. I mean, and it doesn't get easier. I mean, you think, well, why are they trying to move them? I mean, you have to sign Nicholas Milosh. His contract's due this summer. Mario Ferraro, that's kind of a big one. I mean, he's going to be the next captain of the Sharks. So I would say signing Mario Ferraro, that's kind of a big deal. You have a lot of restricted free agent forwards. John Leonard, his contract is up this year. He's up for arbitration as well, just to make things a little more difficult. Jona Gajovic, again, whatever, but still a pretty good hockey player. Again, you want those younger guys on your team. Adam Chmelevski, again, another guy that you drafted. You would like to see him return. Noah Gregor, I think they like Noah Gregor too. And Jonathan Dahlen, I wouldn't be surprised if he just walked. That's kind of the situation with him, especially when they brought in Lane Peterson from the Arizona Coyotes in training camp last year. They've kind of already started to move away from Jonathan Dahlen, even a year ago. That kind of seems to be the case. So when you look at the Sharks and they have $5 million in cap space, they have to find a way to move some more salary in order to keep their guys. Because right now they are projected to have $5.6 million this summer. That might not even be enough for Mario Ferraro. I mean, maybe on a bridge deal, you get Ferraro done, and that's it. Nobody else returns or signs, pro-level contracts. They're going to all be two-way contracts. So that's kind of where you run the risk here. Now, the good news is they do have some younger guys that can come in. I mean, I think they'd like to see William Eklund in the National Hockey League next season. He's a top 10 draft pick. You don't want to rush him, of course, but then you have Tomas Hertl's extension kicking in this summer. You have Alexander Barabanov. His contract extension kicks in. So you're looking at some guys that are coming in, and truthfully, you need those depth contracts. You need those prospect contracts to kind of weigh out some of the bigger contracts like the Coutures, the Myers, the Hertls, obviously on the back end, the Karlsson, Burns, and Vlasics of the league. So, again, when you look at the Sharks, I think there's reason to believe they could move Brent Burns, and that's probably it. I think it's going to be very difficult, again, when you're looking at 4 years from now, what defenseman, what team in their right mind, again, we saw the Predators get rid of Ryan Ellis and send him to Philly. Maybe call up Chuck Fletcher, see if you could get a deal done there. But, he makes some very questionable moves, and that's a team I would look at. I mean, not that the Flyers would be looking for a Burns, but, you have to find the GM that's looking for that type of player and willing to overpay. I think that the Sharks can do it. It sounds crazy. It sounds unfeasible. But I do think Brent Burns is the most attractive of those three guys. You'd like to say Erik Karlsson, right? But because of all his injuries and that that 14% salary, it's going to be real difficult to move Erik Karlsson. And again, that contract doesn't end till he's 40 years old. You're looking at a lot there. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What do you think the San Jose Sharks have to do to this blue line in particular? Because I think they're going to have to move one of those guys. Which of those three defensemen will be the easiest to trade, in your opinion? Karlsson, Burns, or Vlasic? Guys, let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching, and let's go Sharks.